When we think of light, we only think of what our eyes can see. However, the light that our eyes can see is just a part of the total amount of light that surrounds us. In connection with that, this video is going to tackle about electromagnetic spectrum. So what is electromagnetic spectrum? Electromagnetic spectrum is the entire distribution of electromagnetic radiation according to frequency or wavelength. The electromagnetic spectrum comprises the span of all electromagnetic radiation and consists of many subranges, commonly referred to as portions. The various portions bear different names based on differences in behavior in the emission, transmission, and absorption of the corresponding waves, and also based on their different practical applications. The electromagnetic spectrum is generally divided into 7 regions, in order of decreasing wavelength and increasing energy and frequency. The common designations are radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. This diagram shows how an electromagnetic spectrum looks like. So what differentiates them? The electromagnetic waves differs from their wavelength, frequency, and energy. They are classified and arranged based on these 3 characteristics. Wavelength and frequency is inversely proportional with each other, meaning as the wavelength decreases, the frequency and energy increases. Likewise, when the wavelength increases, the frequency and energy decreases. Now, let's move on to the different electromagnetic waves. The first wave on the electromagnetic spectrum is radio wave. So, what is radio waves? Radio waves have the longest wavelengths in the electromagnetic spectrum with frequencies of up to about 30 billion Hz or 30 GHz. These waves can be longer than a football field or as short as a football. Radio waves are transmitted easily through air and they do not cause damage if absorbed by the human body. Microwaves. Microwaves are the second to lowest frequency waves in the electromagnetic spectrum. They have frequencies from about 3 GHz up to about 30 trillion Hz or 30 terahertz. Microwaves have wavelength that can be measured from a few centimeters up to a foot. Infrared waves. Infrared waves are in the lower middle range of frequencies in the electromagnetic spectrum. It lies between microwaves and visible light. Infrared has frequencies from about 30 terahertz up to about 400 terahertz. The size of infrared waves ranges from a few millimeters down to microscopic lengths. Longer wavelength infrared waves produce heat and include radiation emitted by fire, sun, and other heat-producing objects. Shorter wavelength infrared rays do not produce heat and are used in remote controls and imaging technologies. Visible light waves. Visible light is found in the middle of the electromagnetic spectrum between infrared waves and ultraviolet waves. Visible light waves are the only electromagnetic waves we can see. We see these waves as the color of the rainbow. It consists of 7 colors, which is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. It has frequencies of about 400 terahertz to 800 terahertz. Ultraviolet waves. Ultraviolet light has shorter wavelengths than visible light. Though these waves are invisible to the human eye, some insects like bumblebees can see them. It has frequencies of about 8 times 10 raised to 14 to 3 times 10 raised to 16 Hz and wavelengths of about 380 nanometer to about 10 nanometer. UV light is a component of sunlight. It is the cause of sunburn and can cause cancer in living organisms. X-rays. X-ray is an electromagnetic radiation of extremely short wavelength and high frequency, with wavelengths ranging from about 10 raised to negative 8 to 10 raised to negative 12 meter, and corresponding frequencies from about 10 raised to 16 to 10 raised to 20 Hz. X-rays were first observed and documented in 1895 by Wilhelm Conrad Roentgen, a German scientist who found them by accident when experimenting by vacuum tubes. Gamma rays. Gamma rays have the smallest wavelengths and the most energy of any other wave in the electromagnetic spectrum. These are generated by radioactive atoms and in nuclear explosions. Gamma rays have frequencies greater than about 10 raised to 18 Hz and wavelengths of less than 4 times 10 raised to negative 9 inches. Gamma rays are the most energetic form of light and are produced by the hottest regions of the universe. In conclusion, waves in the electromagnetic spectrum vary in size from very long radio waves, the size of buildings, to the very short gamma rays smaller than the size of the nucleus of an atom. Electromagnetic waves can not only be described by their wavelength, but also by their energy and frequency. The behavior of an electromagnetic wave in a substance depends on its frequency or wavelength. The different behaviors of different groups in the electromagnetic spectrum make them suitable for range of uses. However, please take note that too much exposure to some of the waves are also hazardous to human body tissues. That's all for today. Thank you and God bless.